Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Let me be clear, we all have massive goals.
Bang! Steph Curry from downtown.
The return to
Another
glory.
30-point finals game for Steph Curry.
The United States of America are crowned champions of the world.
At the beginning of every single year, we set out to do and achieve amazing things. And often, I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this, we get to the middle of the year and we start getting this nagging feeling, increasing anxiety, and just essentially realize that, oh wow, the goal that we actually wanted to achieve is actually much bigger and much harder to achieve than what we originally thought. Let me tell you, it's totally normal. We all experience this. At one point or another in our lives, we all essentially felt that exact same thing. You try and do something and you just feel like you just don't have enough time. You see other people achieving crazy results and getting fit, doing all of this, and you just wonder how on earth are those guys able to do it all? So what you need to do now is to analyze your life deeply and see where you go wrong. See where you can find extra bit of time to be able to spend more time focusing on your task and achieving your goals. So this is what we're going to go through in this video. My name is Pierre-Antoine, and for the last 10 years, I've been studying successful businesses and figure out what makes a successful one successful and the other ones fail. This led me to create a super app called Flozy with Iman Gadzi that actually focuses on improving productivity for agency owners, coaches, and consultants. And Iman is one of the most productive guys of our generation. In fact, I've just made another video that goes through all of my learnings from working with a guy like this. So if you haven't watched it, I've put a link in the description. Over the last few years, through the software, I was able to analyze over 20,000 businesses and really see how the successful one allocated the time, how did the successful one allocate the resources, and the exact opposite with the one that failed year after year. The single most important trait of successful people is the quantity and quality of output per unit of time. It's simple. Successful people just achieve more per hour than the average person. It's that simple. So productivity can be defined as output over time. And the goal is essentially to optimize quality amount of output per unit of time. Because there's no point to just do more if the quality of the work that you do is average. So that is the true objective of what we're going to talk today. The goal is to protect your time at all costs. We all have 24 hours. We all have families to take care of. We all have bodies that we need to work on. Essentially, there's no excuses. Some people are able to achieve crazy amount of things while others are just stuck in a rut, not able to do what they want to do. So essentially, it's time to just actually analyze where you can find a little bit of time that you can put more towards working on your goals. And after auditing thousands of businesses, I've realized that there's no little simple hack or a new app or a new sleep routine that can help you do this. In fact, it's a good old calendar. The goal is simply to increase the amount of focused work sessions that you do per week. That's simple. How can we block out times and make sure that you focus on one single task at a time so you don't waste time going in different directions? You need to become more intentional about how you spend your time on any given week. And the easiest way to do this is time blocking. It's super simple. You can do it in any calendar app, whether it's Google Calendar, you'll be able to do that in Flozy. There's so many different apps you can do this, so there's literally no excuse. You should be focusing on really makes your life so much easier. Because as I said, you then don't really need to start thinking about what should I be doing now. Now I know that the next hour is going to be dedicated of me creating content. It's that simple. So I just know I've got to set up the camera, I've got to do all of this, and I don't need to start thinking. And of course, previously I had another hour where I had to start thinking about what I actually wanted to post about, writing the script, all of this. So it's much easier if you have predefined in advance what you should be focusing on. And as we said, the goal is to protect your own time. So you shouldn't have an open Calendly link where people can just book at any time and just chat with you whenever. You should have defined section where, okay, cool, here's when I'm actually going to be on calls. Here's where I'm going to be on other things. So the first step is to actually audit how you spend time during a week. Take some time next week, the following week, whatever it is, and actually analyze how you spend time. When do you work out? When are you on calls with clients? When do you chat with clients? When do you work on clients? When do you actually do admin stuff? When you have lunches? When you chat with your friends, etc. The list goes on. But literally just write it so we can have a clear idea of when do you spend time working on things that matter, and when do you spend time on things that don't matter at all? And that is the first step. We need to look and analyze everything you do on a weekly basis so we can see where we can cut the fat. And I bet that for most of you, your calendar looks exactly like this. So this is an example of a bad calendar, where essentially everything is scattered around. There's no clear structure. You essentially have, double ups. You don't really know when you're meant to do things. You have random calls throughout the days. You don't actually really know, what you're meant to do. Every day looks completely different. There's no clear structure. As I said, there's calls every time. So you don't actually ever have time to spend time actually focusing on deep work and actually getting stuff done. When I look at things like this, which is, actually very often when I talk to agency owners and different types of business owners, they just kind of get to the point where this is what the calendar evolves into, where essentially they just become almost slave to their own calendars, specifically because what happened is they have like calendar links for a number of different types of calls, all of them without a clear time scheduled in that you'd only take those calls at certain hours and stuff, and therefore people can kind of book whenever they want. And this is kind of what happens. You end up having a call on top of another call, and some meetup calls throughout the day. Again, just nothing really set up in a way for you to be able to be focused, because it takes time to get into the rhythm of actually wanting to crush a sales call and to really look into what is the best strategy. And so essentially every single time you switch activity, it kind of takes time to get back into it. So for me, the main thing here is like how nothing is well organized, and there's just kind of random times and you have no clue. So what we want to do is just really look at how you can optimize all of that, because that will make a dramatic difference. So the goal now is to just, as I said, be more intentional about your time. Find where you can cut out fat. Find what you can do to find a few extra hours. And let's not forget that if you can find an extra hour per day, at the end of the week, it's almost an extra full 8-hour work day. If you save 1 hour a day, every single day, at the end of the week, you almost have an extra full day, which is just insane when you think about it. Like, you can just achieve so much in one single day, every single week extra. At the end of the year, that's literally 52 extra days. That's just crazy. So that's the goal here. Figure out what we can cut back, and essentially that'll give us plenty of time either to work on ourselves, spend more time with your family, work out, whatever it may be. So let's go through that. Now, I need you to break down the tasks that you need to do in order for you to achieve your goals into a few different categories, 2 or 3 ideally. For example, it could be sales, content, operations, whatever it may be. So then when you actually look at time blocking, you can define those big categories and those big blocks of what you're going to focus on during the week. Let's start building how your ideal work week looks like. So let me show you what it looks like for someone like me. But again, it will vary depending on the stage of the business that you're at. Like whether you need to spend more time on outbound, whether you need to spend more time creating content, whether you need to spend more time hiring, jumping on calls, whatever it may be, that will be determined on what your actual goal is and what you need to focus on. But essentially the goal is to just make it much simpler for you to just rock up at your desk, open your computer, and just know what you should be focusing on for the next hour. And the goal is that if you do that every single hour, you would have achieved all your goals and you haven't been distracted. And in fact, I bet you can actually work less hours and achieve the exact same thing. One of the biggest issues I face is I sit down at my computer and I start a task and I'm like, oh, no, I should quickly do this. Or I get a notification and I start doing something else. So that was really something I was struggling with over the last few years. And so I've sorted this out, crazy, remove notifications. So when it's time to do that one thing, it's only the one thing. For example, writing a script for YouTube video, it can take you forever. Literally, it could take you 3 days of you doing a little bit here and there, etc., etc. But if I know that I just have this 1 hour dedicated for content, then that's it. I spend 1 hour and all of that. Then I have the notification. It's time for something else. My time to jump on calls. And I know that again, for the next 3 hours or 2 hours, I'm just going to be taking on calls. So all of my calls are now booked within that 3-hour session on a specific day. So I know that I'm not again distracted by random calls here and there, which of course, if you're early in your career and early in your agency and stuff, you just need to be on calls as many times as possible with potential clients. But after that, you need to pare it back so you can actually focus on working on the business versus working just in it day to day. So let's go through what a perfect calendar looks like. So for me, and again, this is something that you've got to, you need to do your own audit. You need to figure out exactly what are the actual tasks you should actually focus on, how you should split them up. All of that will not only depend on the type of business you're running, the stage that you're in, etc. But so for example, for me, I had to break it down into a number of different categories. So for me, workout is a big part of what I'm trying to do at the moment. I'm also practicing for a marathon, so I really needed to have like some solid big blocks of time for this. Every day from 8 to 10, I do both my workouts and my morning routine, which includes a number of different things, like, calling certain people, like my loved ones, and a few different things. So I just make sure that that's a time that's kind of like, again, I can't book calls. That's just what I do. So I have workouts as one of the category, which you can see now in greens, can repeat it every single day. Then I've got admin, and admin is then split into two: business admin and personal admin. Because of course, a lot of us, when you run your own business, you need to do accounting stuff. You need to, deal stuff with the bank. Maybe there's some new, some contracts you need to write, a number of different things. So for me, again, that's a big thing. And same with personal admin, because again, throughout your week, you can't forget that there's a number of things you actually need to get done yourself. Again, renewing a passport, all of those small things that's kind of annoying, but I actually pencil those in. So that's the second category that I've got for me. Then I've got calls, which of course for me, it's something that I do quite a lot throughout the week. And then you can split those into team calls and client/users, which is essentially all of my external calls. And this is really important. You've got to, for me, I think, have specific days on which you have more calls than others, because calls essentially really disrupt your way of thinking. For example, if you're in the middle of a deep work session or middle of like thinking about something, and then you've got a call, it can completely alter the way the state of your kind of mind. Like you could go crazy into marketing strategies and crazy into trying to do some sales, etc. So for me, I really try and bunch those together. And of course, at the moment, I do less calls than I was when I was prospecting and calling and having a ton of different clients. But again, I've broken those into two. And then for me, deep work, as you can see, that's the blue section here, which is the vast majority of what I try to do. And for me at the moment, it's split into two: content and essentially general deep work. And inside general deep work, it can be a number of different things. This is where you're then going to start assigning specific tasks to specific days and stuff. I'm not going to go too deep into this, because at this point, the goal is just to have like an overall framework as to what you should do at what time and on what day. The last thing I do at the day is just buffer, which is a bit of a recap, planning for next day, etc. Then I've got lunches, and for me, I've got actually a few days where I also try and do meetings. So this could be in person or again on Zoom while I eat, and so this kind of varies and stuff. And then as you can see here on Tuesday, I've got a standing call with my sister, for example, and this is something that I highly encourage all of you to do, is to figure out someone that really matters to you and kind of book in a few standing calls that you do on a frequent basis, because that really is going to help. For me, I think the main key takeaway here is I start my week with a bit of planning. So again, first thing on Monday, I arrive and kind of again make sure that all of this kind of makes sense. This again is not, if you missed it by 1 minute, start over and it's the end of the world. This is just to give you some sort of framework, and again, just a little bit easier. The goal is you kind of sit at your desk, open up your calendar and be like, oh, cool, what am I meant to do now? Okay, cool, business admin, what do I actually have? And then after I finish my team calls on Monday, I'm like, great, this is time for content. So I can really get in the right frame of mind to just actually, think of content and do all of the different things I need to do in order to get that done. As I said, my team calls, I do them, every single day, because this is something that, again, for me, where I'm at, I've got to liaise with all of the different teams, whether it's like the different development team, marketing team, design team, all of this. So this is quite important. But at the same time, of course, I still do a lot of onboarding calls with users, and some of them can be in US time zones. So that's why I've got a number of different days where people can do that. So I've got Tuesdays where people can book, again, all of Thursdays, and then pretty much all of Wednesday for me, it's a big call day. And the good thing with this is then I'm not distracted with other calls randomly on a Tuesday afternoon. Therefore, I know that Tuesday afternoon I can just do a big work session here. Same with the Friday. Again, for me, Friday I tend to keep it a little bit lighter because I often here this is where I end up booking like physio appointments or a number of different things like this. So it doesn't kind of like, and I know that this is pretty much every time I try and book an appointment, it's always around that time, which makes it actually so much easier. Because if you need to go to the dentist, if you need to go to whatever, you actually just know it's always around the same time. So so of course, like this is not absolute rocket science and everything needs to be absolutely calibrated and stuff, but it just gives you a really nice framework as to what you should do on what time. You need to protect your time at all costs. It's literally the most important thing for you to take control of your life and actually achieve your goals faster than you've ever have before. Honestly, it's literally as simple as that. The successful people, they don't have more time than anyone else. When they work on a task, they focus 100% of their effort just on achieving this. And once it's done, they move on. That really is one of the main things I've seen from working with people like Iman and a bunch of other people that are insanely successful. That's how they just achieve more. They know exactly when they need to do things, and then they focus 100% of their attention to achieving that one specific thing. Therefore, the quality gets better, the quantity also increases, and that's just how you get more stuff done. I can't wait for you to start improving your productivity. Let me know again what you were able to cut out in the comments. It's always fun to see where we all waste time. I know TikTok is a big culprit for all of us. If you do all of this, I can guarantee you will achieve more than you ever have before. Thanks for watching. And as always, if you got any value from this video, please give it a thumbs up and a follow. It matters a lot and it means a lot to me. Have a great day, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.